In this video, we will dive deep into the types of companies with explanation and examples. An optional association established and organized for running a business is called a company. In other words, any entity engaged in business is a company, or a corporation selling goods or services for making money is a company. Legally, a company is a legal entity established by a group of people for performing a business. A company has a separate entity from the people who own, operate, and manage its functions. Companies can be classified into different types based on different criteria. Based on incorporation, companies can be classified into chartered company, registered company, and statutory company. Based on liability, companies can be classified into company limited by shares, unlimited company, and company limited by guarantee. Based on the number of members, companies can be classified into private company or private limited company and public company or public limited company. Based on domicile, companies can be classified into foreign company and local company. And based on miscellaneous other criteria, companies can be classified into government company, subsidiary and holding company, one-man company, partnership, cooperative society, joint venture company. Each of the types is discussed below with examples. Based on incorporation, companies can be classified as chartered company, registered company, and statutory company. Number 1. Chartered company. These companies are established under a charter or a special order of a monarch or a king or a queen. A chartered company's nature and powers of business are specified by the charter which establishes it. Royal Chartered Company is another name of the chartered companies. Bank of England, East India Company, British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, etc. are some examples of chartered companies. Business organizations have undergone radical changes throughout history, and one of the most important economic developments in the modern era is the chartered company. A chartered company is a business that is incorporated and granted rights by royal charter. This new way to conduct business gained popularity in the mid-16th century with the establishment of the Muscovy Company, the first major business of its type in England. The Muscovy Company was given a royal charter that granted the business a monopoly over trade between Russia and England. This was the most common purpose of royal charters, as they often created companies to organize trade, colonization, or exploration in a specific region. Because these chartered companies were incorporated publicly, they also became some of the first joint stock companies, meaning that several private individuals could come together to invest in and share ownership of the company. This was a massive departure from previous companies that single individuals or families operated. A company's charter was very important for a business that intended to expand internationally. Because of this, chartered companies were a major development in history that shaped economics across the globe. Number 2. Registered company. All the companies incorporated under the Companies Act passed by the government of the country are known as a registered company. These companies can come into existence after they have registered themselves under the Companies Act and the Registrar of Companies has granted a certificate of incorporation to them. An incorporated company is another name of the registered companies. Google India Private Ltd is a registered or an incorporated company. A registered company is an organization which is formed and registered with the appropriate statutory authority of the country as a company or a corporation, in accordance with the corporate and securities law of that country. A registered company will have to follow and comply with many laws of the country and accordingly will have to do periodical reporting to the government authority about the state of affairs of the company. A registered company is also called an incorporated company or a registered corporation or an incorporated corporation. Some examples of registered companies include Microsoft Corporation, an American tech company, develops and sells computer software, consumer electronics, etc. HSBC Holdings plc, a British multinational banking company which provides various financial services. Robert Bosch GmbH or Bosch, a German multinational company, deals in engineering and technology services. Reliance Industries Limited, an Indian multinational company, renders services in retail, telecom, textiles, petrochemicals, energy sector, etc. Number 3. Statutory Company. A company incorporated by a special act of the central or state legislature or the parliament is called a statutory company. These companies are designed to run some business of national significance and mostly are invested with obligatory powers. Federal Reserve Banks of the USA is an example of a statutory company. Statutory corporations are body corporates formed by a special act of parliament or by the central or state legislature. It is fully financed by the government. Its powers, objects, limitations, etc. are also decided by the act of the legislature. Examples include Air India, State Bank of India, Life Insurance Corporation of India, etc. State helps the statutory corporations by subscribing full capital, and it is fully owned by the state. Government nominates the board of directors and they manage and operate such corporations. It enjoys the financial autonomy and is answerable to legislature only which creates it. The statutory corporations are fully owned by the government, therefore raising capital for them is an easy process. They can easily raise required capital by floating bonds at a low rate of interest. Since these bonds are safe, the public also feels comfortable in subscribing such bonds. Based on liability, companies can be classified as company limited by shares, unlimited company, and company limited by guarantee. Number 1. Company limited by shares. A company limited by shares is a corporate entity that is legally separate from any directors and shareholders. As it can stand alone as a legal entity, it can enter contracts as a company and hold assets in its name. The word limited here refers to the shareholders' limited liability. These companies have a specified share capital and each member's liability is limited to the extent, if any, unpaid on the shares. This liability may be enforced during the company's existence and while winding up. The members won't have any liability if the shares are completely paid up. This company structure is particularly popular as the company exists as a separate legal entity from the individual owner. This means the owners have limited financial liability, so their personal finances are protected if the company encounters financial problems. A company limited by shares can be a public limited company or issue shares to the public to raise capital. When a limited company is formed, it must issue one or more subscriber shares to its initial members. It may increase capitalization by issue of further shares. Number 2. Unlimited company. A company with no limit on its members or shareholders' liability is known as an unlimited company. Like an ordinary partnership, every member or shareholder is liable for the company's debts in proportion to her or his interest in the company. These companies are unpopular in the Indian subcontinent. An unlimited company is very much like a regular private company limited by shares. It must be registered with Companies House and have a memorandum and articles of association. There's a director that manages the day-to-day running of the company on behalf of the shareholders. Persons of significant control and an annual confirmation statement must still be submitted to Companies House. There are some advantages of becoming an unlimited company, such as having a separate legal identity, allowing the company to take out contracts in its own name, rather than the names of the directors and shareholders. Number 3. Company limited by guarantee. These are registered companies where the members' liability is limited to the amounts they may respectively promise by the memorandum to contribute to the company's assets at the time of liquidation. So, the members' liability is limited to their undertaken guarantees amount. Company limited by guarantee means that the company which may or may not have a share capital and the members thereof promise to pay the company's debts up to a fixed sum in the event of liquidation of the company. Clubs, research associations, societies for promoting several objects, and research associations are some examples of companies limited by guarantee. Members of a company limited by guarantee act as guarantors and agree to pay the guarantee value, which is set at the time of incorporation. A company limited by guarantee is generally a structure used by not-for-profit organizations, NGOs, social enterprises, or charities. Based on the number of members, companies can be classified as private company or private limited company and public company or public. Number 1. Limited company. Private company or private limited company. A private company restricts the number of shareholders or members, the transferring right of its shares, and refrains from inviting any public to subscribe to any debentures or shares of the company. In a limited company, The liability of members or subscribers of the company is limited to what they have invested or guaranteed to the company. Limited companies may be limited by shares or by guarantee. In a company limited by shares, the liability of members is limited to the unpaid value of shares. In UK, a private company represents a separate legal entity having an address, a suitable name, at least one director, at least one member or shareholder, and article of association and memorandum of association. In the Indian subcontinent, a private company represents a separate legal entity having an address, a suitable name, at least 2 shareholders and at most 200 shareholders, and at least 2 directors, one being a resident of the operating country. Number 2. Public company or public limited company. A company the ownership of which is open to the public is a public company. More clearly, anyone can purchase the shares of this company. No restrictions are here to the number of members or to the transferring right of its shares. But there are few other restrictions. In UK, a public company should have 2 directors and at least 2 shareholders, have total values of allotted shares of at least £50,000, have a registered company address, and have a company secretary who is qualified. In the Indian subcontinent, a public limited company should have 3 directors and at least 7 members and file a statement in lieu of prospectus or issue a prospectus with the registrar before allotment of shares. The name of a public limited company can simply end with a limited. Generally, it is easier for a public limited company to raise additional funds for growth, investment, and acquisition as they can simply issue shares in a stock market if they have undergone an initial public offering, IPO. Shares of a public limited company that is listed are freely transferable. This is because anyone can buy or sell a share of the company on the stock exchange. The public limited company has no control over who can buy or sell the shares of the company. Based on domicile, companies can be classified as foreign company and local company. Number 1. Foreign company. It indicates a company incorporated outside our country and which has a place of business in our country. For example, Unilever, Siemens, Nestle, etc. are foreign companies. So, a foreign company is a business entity that is incorporated, registered, or headquartered in a country other than the one where it operates its primary business activities. A foreign company may have been established in their home country and expanded their operations internationally, or may have been specifically formed to operate in a foreign market. Ownership and control of foreign companies typically reside in the country where the company is incorporated or registered. This means that decision-making authority, governance structure, and shareholder rights are governed by the laws and regulations of the company's home country. Foreign companies must comply with the legal and regulatory requirements of the countries in which they operate. This includes adhering to corporate governance standards, tax regulations, employment laws, and other regulatory frameworks specific to each jurisdiction. Operating as a foreign company often involves navigating cultural differences and language barriers. Foreign companies may employ various market entry strategies, such as exporting, licensing, franchising, joint ventures, or direct investment, like establishing wholly owned subsidiaries. The choice of strategy depends on factors such as market characteristics, risk tolerance, and resource availability. Many foreign companies are part of multinational corporations, MNCs, that operate in multiple countries around the world. Number 2. Local company. A company registered and formed in a country is called a local company. A local company typically refers to a business that is incorporated and operates primarily within a specific country or region. A local company is usually registered and incorporated in the country or region where it operates. It complies with the local laws and regulations governing business operations, taxation, and corporate governance. Local companies are often owned by individuals or entities residing within the same country or region. The ownership may be private, where individuals or a group of individuals hold shares, or public, where shares are traded on the local stock exchange. They may serve local markets, communities, or specific geographical areas, depending on their industry and target audience. Local companies may have a strong presence in their domestic market, but may also operate on a smaller scale compared to multinational corporations. They may focus on niche markets or specific segments of the population. Local companies often have deep roots in the local community. They may actively participate in community development initiatives, support local causes, and contribute to the social and economic well-being of the region. Local companies may tailor their products, services, and marketing strategies to align with the preferences and expectations of local consumers. Local companies play a significant role in creating job opportunities and driving economic growth within their communities. They may hire locally, providing employment opportunities for residents and contributing to the overall prosperity of the region. And based on miscellaneous other criteria, companies can be classified into government company, subsidiary and holding company, one-man company, partnership, cooperative society, joint venture company. Number 1. Government company. A government company is a company where not less than 51% of the paid-up share capital is held by the government. A government company subsidiary is also a government company. Federal Agricultural Mortgage Corporation, Corporation for Public Broadcasting, Federal Financing Bank, etc. are some examples of government companies of USA. In India, Steel Authority of India Limited, Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, Coal India Limited, State Trading Corporation of India, etc. are some examples of government companies. It is a separate legal entity. The management is governed and regulated by the provisions of Companies Act. The Memorandum of Association and Articles of Association govern the appointment of employees. A government company gets its funding from government shareholding and other private shareholdings. The company can also raise money from the capital market. Number 2. Subsidiary and holding company. A company is called a subsidiary of another company when the latter company has a control over the former company and the latter company is called the holding company. For example, ABC Holding Company Incorporated is the subsidiary company of the Walt Disney Company. So, what is a holding company? A holding company is a type of financial organization that owns a controlling interest in other companies, which are called subsidiaries. The parent corporation can control the subsidiaries' policies and oversee management decisions, but doesn't run day-to-day operations. Holding companies are protected from losses accrued by subsidiaries, so if a subsidiary goes bankrupt, its creditors can't go after the holding company. And what is a subsidiary? A subsidiary is a company that is more than 50% owned by a parent company or holding company. Subsidiaries are separate and distinct legal entities from their parent companies. Companies buy or establish a subsidiary to obtain specific synergies or assets, secure tax advantages, and contain or limit losses. Shareholder approval is not required to turn a company into a subsidiary or to sell a subsidiary. A subsidiary's financials are reported on the parent's consolidated financial statements. Number 3. One-man company. A company where one man holds the full of the company's share capital and to meet the minimum number of members statutory requirement, some dummy members hold 1 or 2 shares each. Generally, these dummy members are the principal shareholders' nominees. The principal shareholder enjoys the business's profit with limited liability. A one-person company is a company that has only one person as to its member. Furthermore, members of a company are nothing but subscribers to its Memorandum of Association or its shareholders. So, an one-person company is effectively a company that has only one shareholder as its member. Such companies are generally created when there is only one founder or promoter for the business. Entrepreneurs whose businesses lie in early stages prefer to create one-person companies instead of sole proprietorship business because of the several advantages that one-person companies offer. A unique feature of one-person companies that separates it from other kinds of companies is that the sole member of the company has to mention a nominee while registering the company. One-person companies need to have minimum one person, the member, as director. They can have a maximum of 15 directors. One-person companies enjoy several privileges and exemptions under the Companies Act that other kinds of companies do not possess. Number 4. Partnership. A partnership is a kind of business where a formal agreement between 2 or more people is made who agree to be the co-owners, distribute responsibilities for running an organization, and share the income or losses that the business generates. According to Section 4 of the Partnership Act, 1932, Partnership is the relation between persons who have agreed to share the profits of a business carried on by all or any of them acting for all. In the case of banking business on a partnership basis, the maximum member number is 10 and 20 in the case of other businesses. Companies Act, 1994, Section 4, has placed this restriction. So, a partnership is an arrangement between two or more people to oversee business operations and share its profits and liabilities. In a general partnership company, all members share both profits and liabilities. Professionals like doctors and lawyers often form a limited liability partnership. There may be tax benefits to a partnership compared to a corporation. Partners are personally held liable for any business debts of the partnership, which means that creditors or other claimants can go after the partner's personal assets. Because of this, individuals who wish to form a partnership should be extremely selective when choosing partners. Number 5. Co-operative Society. Co-operative society indicates a voluntary association of people who perform business together for promoting their common economic purpose. It performs on the principle of both self-help and mutual help. The main motive is to support the members, not to earn a profit. Dairy Farmers of America, Health Partners Incorporated, California Dairies Incorporated are examples of cooperative societies in the United States. There are different types of business organizations. One such form is of cooperative society. Cooperative societies are formed with the aim of helping their members. This type of business organization is formed mainly by weaker sections of the society in order to prevent any type of exploitation from the economically stronger sections of the society. Cooperative societies need to be registered under the Co-operative Societies Act, 1912 in order to function as a legal entity. Members of the society raise the capital within themselves. The products that are sold in the cooperative societies are cheaper than the market. Procurement of products is done directly from the producers, which removes the middlemen, thereby generating more profit for the producers and consumers. Members of the cooperative society can get quick loans. There is no black marketing involved. Number 6. Joint venture company. Joint venture company is two or more persons or companies association involved in a solitary business company for profit without incorporation or actual partnership. Example: Vodafone and Telefonica works as a joint venture company and shared their mobile network. A joint venture is a business arrangement in which two or more parties agree to pool their resources for the purpose of accomplishing a specific task. This task can be a new project or any other business activity. In a joint venture, two or more businesses decide to combine their resources in order to fulfill an enumerated goal. They are a partnership in the colloquial sense of the word, but can take on any legal structure. A common use of joint ventures is to partner up with a local business to enter a foreign market. A joint venture between companies can open the way for expansion into a new line of business by each participant at a relatively modest cost. In fact, it sounds ideal if each company contributes its own expertise, but the cost of the venture is split among them. It's only ideal if the companies have a shared vision and an equal commitment to the success of the joint venture. So, we have discussed the types of companies with explanation and examples. If this lecture was helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.